Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
Samantha Josephson, a future law student, was last seen getting into a black Chevy Impala on March 28, 2019, a car that was headed in the opposite direction of where she lived.
When you saw that she was going in a different direction, what did you do?
I called her. First texted her. At first, I really didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe they're going back to Edgar's or someone's house after. But there was no response and no answer to the call.
In another part of Columbia, South Carolina, someone else's significant other noticed that their car, a Chevy Impala, had bloodstains all over it.
Dry blood in the car.
Where in the car?
On the dashboard and beside the seats.
And where else did you see blood?
In the back seat.
Law enforcement would eventually catch up to the driver of the Impala, but lab results might make a seemingly clear-cut case questionable.
0. It's not on her clothing. It's not under her ripped and torn fingernails. It's not on her ankles.
This is Jillian, and in partnership with Law and Crime, you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 170. 21-year-old Samantha Josephson was going out with friends on the night of March 28, 2019. She had just found out she had been given a full scholarship to Drexel Law School.
March 28th, 2019 was supposed to be a celebration. Samantha Josephson and friends were gathering together as a celebration of life. They hadn't seen one another in a while, and they were getting together because, quite frankly, they were all about to graduate. They were getting together to relive a few of those kind and fun moments of college, and a chance to reflect a little bit on those times and also to think a little bit about what the future was to hold. They were looking towards toasting and celebrating the fact that they were graduating and moving to a new phase of their life.
Samantha's boyfriend, Greg Corbishley, lived in Charleston at the time, about 2 hours away from where Samantha was finishing up school at the University of South Carolina. Samantha texted Greg earlier in the day to ask him to drive up and go out with her and her friends. The plan was for the group to go to Bird Dog Pub at 715 Hardin Street in the popular college hangout area of 5 Points in Columbia, South Carolina.
Were you in contact with her that night?
I was in contact with her throughout the entire day.
Okay. What form of contact did you all have with each other?
FaceTime, text messages, calls, basically asking me to come up to Columbia that night to visit her.
Okay. And do you know generally what her plans were that night and who they were with?
Just her roommates and her friends, her extended friend group that didn't live with her. They were going to go out to the 5 Points area like any regular night at South Carolina.
Between working her job at Liberty Tavern and classes, Samantha was looking forward to the night out. Greg told her he couldn't make it, but like during most of their relationship, the two stayed in contact constantly. He knew Samantha's location through the Find My Friends app.
We got off the phone. Me and her had our locations shared with each other through the Find My Friends app. and I tracked it just to make sure she got home safe, as I always did.
I'm sorry, I kind of stopped you there. Can you describe what that Find My Friend app is and how that works?
Right, so it'll pinpoint where whoever it is that shares their location, where they are, and it'll give you a constant update by the second about where their location is. And like I said, it's pretty frequently updated. So if you're in a car, it'll track it, as you're moving.
Okay. And so why were you looking at where she was going?
I just want to make sure she got home safely.
Samantha left for the bird dog around 12:15 or 12:30 a.m. She and Greg traded text messages throughout her time at the bar. At 2:30 a.m., she texted him and told him she was getting an Uber back home to where she lived, known as The Hub. The Hub is located on Main Street, just 2 miles from the bird dog. The ride should have lasted less than 10 minutes. But as Greg tracked her phone through that Friend Finder app, he noticed it was going the wrong way. He tried reaching her, but couldn't get a hold of her.
Tried to reach her by phone, didn't. It rang, went straight, then went to voicemail. Tried texting. Both of us had read receipts on. It just said delivered, and I never got the read receipt back.
And that would indicate to you what, for those of us that are not as technologically inclined, what does that mean? That
she hadn't read the message, or that she wasn't around her phone, or for whatever reason she hadn't looked at the message personally. That would be what I would think.
And so you continued to follow her whereabouts.
Right.
Find my friend.
Right. And then I think I tried contacting her by Snapchat as well. And no answer there. I believe her location stopped. It stopped getting shared with me, which had never happened before in our relationship.
About what time?
About 2:30, 2:40 a.m.
Okay. And the general area in which that happened?
That was the Montgomery Avenue. Was the last place that I saw it tracked to.
When Samantha's phone reached the Rosewood area on Montgomery Avenue, it either turned off or went dead. She was less than 5 miles from her intended destination of home.
What did you think was happening at this point?
And I really didn't know what to think. I thought maybe she left her phone in an Uber and the Uber went home. I called her roommates to ask, do you know if she's home? Are you guys home? I didn't really know what to think at this point. I just kept trying to call her just to see if she would answer.
And did you actually end up speaking to her roommates at all?
Yeah, I think I had some texts with them around 3 or 3:30. I don't really remember the time. But I had told them the situation, and I think they came to the same conclusion or assumption that I did, that maybe she dropped her phone or something like that.
After continuing to try and reach Samantha for a few more hours, Greg went to bed around 5 or 5:30 a.m., thinking she must have just gone to someone else's house. He was awoken by one of Samantha's roommates around 11 a.m.
I woke up, I think, around 11 a.m. To calls from her roommate, Carly, saying that Samantha had never returned home.
Can't say what they told you.
Excuse me.
That's all right.
I apologize.
But you can say her roommate called you.
Roommate called me.
Right. So based on that, what did you do?
I drove up to Columbia.
You still hadn't heard from her at any point?
No, Samantha? I hadn't heard anything.
No responses to any of your messages of any
No,
kind?
nothing. No read receipts, no nothing.
Greg immediately headed for Columbia to help find Samantha. He arrived at the Hub, where the police were already speaking to her roommates. After he told law enforcement what he knew about the prior night, including the moment he was no longer able to track her, Greg and her friends went to physically search for her. They went to the street where her phone was last active and started knocking on doors, hoping someone had seen her.
We looked around. We looked like on the grass for her phone, any trace of that she had been there. We didn't find anything. And neither had the neighbors heard anything.
They then went down to the area where the bars she had gone to the night before were at. They wanted to see if there was any video from that night.
We went to Breakers first because it has a pretty big view of the main street of 5 Points. They didn't have anything. So then we went to Bird Dog, and that's when we saw the footage of her getting into the black Chevy Impala.
You actually saw that yourself?
Yeah.
Did you recognize the vehicle at all?
I did not.
The video showed Samantha waiting alone on Hardin Street. She tried to get into one car, but it pulled away from her. Then another car pulled up, and this time she got in. It was a black Chevy Impala. After viewing the video, Greg went back to Montgomery Avenue, the area where her phone had last tracked to, and knocked on doors again. This time, he was asking if anyone had seen that car. Meanwhile, two friends 65 miles away were about to make a gruesome discovery. In Turbyville, South Carolina, about 65 miles from Columbia, two friends, Ander Lee and Ryan Knowlton, went out turkey hunting. After not having much success earlier in the day, they changed locations and went to New Zion, where Ryan's family owned land.
Had you previously hunted in those locations before?
Yes, the land in New Zion's his family's land, so we hunt there quite a bit.
It's Mr. Knowlton, your friend Mr. Knowlton's land?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you say you hunted there quite a bit, what do you mean by that?
I mean, we deer hunt, we bird hunt, turkey hunt there, just somewhere, it's close to his house, so somewhere easy for us to access, being close to his house.
Ander scanned the area to see if there were any turkeys.
Did you see any?
No, sir.
Okay. How long did you walk around over there looking?
Probably 5 or 10 minutes. I walked probably halfway down it and scanned.
Okay. As you were walking here from the access road down the fire break trail, what, if anything, did you observe while you were walking out looking for turkeys?
Well, I was walking down. I didn't observe anything. It was on my way back. But I guess I was just looking through the woods and something caught my eye to the left.
He got a little closer to whatever it was that had caught his eye, and the more he looked at it, scrutinizing it to see what it was, the more it looked like it was a body. He called Ryan over, and they were both in disbelief.
You said a moment ago that this area was, I believe you said, in the middle of nowhere. Why would you describe it as that?
Because it's not somewhere you just end up there. It's just farmland and woods. There's really nothing in New Zion no reason you would just end up there.
They called a Department of Natural Resource officer they knew in the area. 10 minutes later, Bubba Morris arrived. Morris looked over the scene and called the Clarendon County Sheriff's Office. They sent investigator Tommy Huckabee out. It was clear the body was that of a female victim, and that she had experienced a large amount of trauma. It wasn't a crime the sheriff's office had much experience with, so they called in the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, better known as SLED. While waiting for SLED to arrive, investigator Huckabee took a closer look at the body. He remembered seeing a missing persons report out of Columbia. He called the Columbia Police Department and asked for a copy of their Be on the Lookout, or BOLO, they had recently put out. When he got Samantha Josephson's picture, with her long dark hair and bright smile, he was certain she was the victim he was looking at.
And I found a picture, and I went to my sheriff and said, "Sheriff, this is who we've got."
Why did you think that the photo you saw about the missing person was the body that was found?
Clothes, the description that was on the clothes, and then looking at the person on the picture.
And seeing what she was wearing, did it look like somebody that ordinarily would have been in this area of New Zion?
No, she looked very out of place right there.
Bubba Morris knew the family who owned the property near where the body was found, the Rowlands. It wasn't far from his own, just across the road.
How do you know the Rowland family?
They live across the highway from me, from where I live at.
And that's over here?
Yes.
On Renegade Trail?
On Renegade Trail, yes.
Okay. And have you ever had occasion to speak to any of that family?
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Later that night, on the night of March 29th into the early morning hours of March 30th, the Columbia Police Department patrolled the area of 5 Points, looking for the black Chevy Impala Samantha had last been seen in. Officer Jeffrey Kraft saw an Impala that matched the Bolo at Hardin and Blossom. He began following it.
Describe what happened once the Impala began to turn left onto Blossom Street.
I activated my blue lights, being the vehicle matched the description of the Bolo that I received. Blue lights were initiated. He made a left onto Blossom Street, continued to travel down Blossom Street, and then made a left-hand turn onto Saluda Avenue, which is a one-way road, and he turned onto the street the wrong way.
Ultimately, the car pulled over, and Officer Kraft and his partner approached. It was 3:25 a.m.
And did you make contact with the driver?
I did.
Okay. And initially, was the driver cooperative?
At first, he was very cooperative. He was slouched back in the back of the seat. His hood was over his head, okay. But he was communicating with me and answering the questions.
Officer Kraft smelled a strong odor of marijuana emanating from the vehicle. The driver admitted he had been smoking earlier in the day. He asked the driver for some identification, but the driver stated he didn't have anything on him. Officer Kraft then asked the driver to step out of the car.
All right, man, you got to step on out, man. All right, here's the deal, man. I pulled your car over because it matches the suspect. Get your hand in your pocket. What are you, crazy? Get over here. Hey, get over here. Come on, run. Hey, I'm going to release the dog.
The man took off running into the night. While other officers tried to locate the driver of the black Chevy Impala, Officer Kraft focused on the car. He could smell marijuana, and so he looked around to see if he could find any. He saw little pieces of marijuana on the driver's side floorboard. He also found a rose-colored iPhone in between the driver's seat and the center console, and a set of keys. He placed them on top of the car and decided to pause his search. He could see a lot of evidence that something severe had taken place inside the car, so he wanted evidence techs to process it instead.
When you say it was obvious, I mean, what, if anything, did you observe?
Large quantities of blood, footprints on the window, cleaning supplies, bleach.
Officers managed to catch up with the driver. They placed him in handcuffs and read him his Miranda rights. The driver refused to answer any questions. But they eventually found out who he was, Nathaniel Rowland, the same Rowland whose family owned the property near where Samantha's body was found. And so Nathaniel Rowland was ultimately arrested and charged with Samantha's murder. It's a fear some people have when they go out on the town for a night, getting into the wrong rideshare vehicle. That's exactly what the prosecution says happened to Samantha Josephson on the night of March 28, 2019.
He had his eyes fixed on Miss Josephson as she walked outside the Bird Dog Lounge in 5 Points, alone. As she walked outside, as she had ordered an Uber ride, alone. As she stood there alone waiting on that Uber, he had his eyes firmly transfixed on her as she waited for that Uber ride to arrive.
Prosecutor Byron Gibson said once Samantha got into Nathaniel's car, she couldn't get out because of the child safety locks. He said Samantha had been stabbed multiple times, from the bottom of her feet, on her torso, and on her face, neck, and head. He said after Samantha was picked up, later that night, someone was on video attempting to use her debit card to retrieve money. That same person then attempted again later that night. Nathaniel Rowland's phone places him there. He told the jury that Nathaniel kidnapped and murdered Samantha. In her opening statements, Nathaniel's attorney told the jury that Nathaniel is not to blame for what happened to Samantha. She said, by all accounts, Samantha was a remarkable young lady with a bright future. And also, one heck of a fighter, she said. Samantha fought hard as she was repeatedly stabbed in the back seat of a car.
She fought kicking and punching and clawing at the person attacking her. With the state one should believe is Nathaniel Rowland. Trying with everything in her power. Fighting. And you've heard, tragically, that same day that she was last seen at the bird dog, she's later found. And she's found out in Clarendon County. But that's not where Samantha's story ends.
She said 2 crime scene investigators spent hours at the scene, leaving nothing unturned. They were again called out to analyze Nathaniel's car after he was pulled over and arrested. Again, they left nothing unturned, she said. One of the agents took pictures of Nathaniel. This was about 24 hours after Samantha was killed.
She wants to take pictures of his head, of his face, of his arms and his hands. She takes pictures of him. They're looking for scratches or marks or bruises. But there are none. 0.
She said the agents sent everything they had collected from their investigations to the lab. And months later, they got results.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear this number again. And that is 0. That's the amount of DNA on Samantha Josephson's body that matches Nathaniel Rowland. 0. It's not on her clothing. It's not under her ripped and torn fingernails. It's not on her ankles.
She said because Samantha fought, there was some evidence. Someone else's DNA was on her, she said, but it wasn't Nathaniel's. She said there is 0 evidence that Nathaniel is the one who kidnapped and killed Samantha. Nathaniel Rowland's girlfriend, Maria Howard, testified for the prosecution. The two had only been dating for a couple of weeks before Samantha's murder. She initially met him at a club in Columbia when she came home from college for the weekend. They became friends at first, but eventually lost touch. They then became reacquainted a while later when he came into her job at McDonald's on Garner's Ferry Road. After the chance encounter, the two spent at least part of every day together. Nathaniel often picked Maria up and took her to work in his black Chevy Impala. The prosecution asked Maria about the day leading up to Samantha's murder. Maria was supposed to do laundry at her mom's house, but it didn't work out. Nathaniel said he would take her McDonald's work shirt to his sister's to wash it for her. Later, he returned to Maria's apartment. The two watched TV upstairs. Even though Nathaniel never stayed the full night with Maria, they had made plans for him to stay this night. Maria had recently kicked her roommate out, and her daughter wasn't with her. She didn't want to stay alone. Maria went to sleep around 1:30 a.m. Nathaniel was downstairs on the couch. She woke up a little before 6 a.m. the next morning to get ready for work. Nathaniel wasn't at the apartment.
And so around 5:30, 6 o'clock, he's not there.
No, ma'am.
Was that what you expected?
No.
What did you expect?
Him to be there.
Why?
Because he told me he was going to be there when I wake up.
And why? Or had you asked him to be there when you woke up?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Because I don't like staying by myself.
And had he made you any promises about staying?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you?
That he would be there when I wake up.
But he wasn't.
But he wasn't.
Not only had Nathaniel promised to stay the night, he was supposed to take Maria to work and bring her work shirt. She called and texted him. She said he had 2 phones and didn't respond on either one. He pulled into her driveway a little bit before 7. He was wearing the same clothes as he had the night before. Maria went outside and asked him where her work shirt was. Nathaniel then left, telling her that he needed to take his nephew to school and that he would be right back. He was only gone for about 10 minutes.
How long, and you said he went to go get his nephew?
To take his nephew to school.
Do you know where was his nephew in the car?
No.
Do you know where his nephew lived?
On Rosewood.
How long does it take to go from your house to the nephew's house?
Like, from Leesburg to Rosewood, that's like 30 minutes.
So did he
With
have
traffic.
time to go from your house to his nephew's in that 10 minutes?
No.
When he returned, he had her work shirt. It was wet, but she had to put it on. She asked him where her McDonald's visor was. She had left it in the back window of his car the day before, but it wasn't there now.
Did you ask him about that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he tell you?
That it was in the country.
And what did you say to that?
Why would it be in the country?
And what did he tell you?
It had blood on it.
I'm going to need you to repeat that.
It had blood on it.
He told you that the visor had blood on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask him, what did you ask him?
Why would the hat have blood on it?
And what did he tell you? You tell me.
Mind my business.
Mind your business. Did you ask him again?
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
Mind my business.
Maria said she got into the car and they headed to her work. On the way, they stopped by a gas station to get gas. It was there that Maria noticed that something else was off.
And what, if anything, did you notice about the car at that point?
That it was like dry blood in the car.
Where in the car?
On the dashboard and beside the seats.
When you say the dashboard, what are you talking about?
Where the airbags are.
Like the console?
Yes,
Like the
ma'am.
console? Okay. And where else did you see blood?
In the back seat.
In the back seat. Was anything else in the back seat?
It was a sheet over the back seat and the back of the driver's seat.
And how do you mean there was a sheet?
It was kind of like covering, but it wasn't all the way covering the seat.
Okay. Was it like draped on the seat so you could see the outline of the seat, or was it above the seat? Or describe
Just like through over the seat where you can't see.
Okay. Could you see anything in the back seat besides the sheet?
Blood.
Where did you see blood then?
On the seat.
On the seat. Okay. Not the part that was covered, or was it under the, could you see through the sheet?
Like the part of the seat that wasn't covered, you could see blood.
What did you do when you saw the blood?
I asked him, why is it blood in the car? Did you hit a dog?
And what did he say?
Mind my business.
Maria noticed that Nathaniel looked tired. She let him keep her house keys so he could go there and rest, with the understanding that he would return around 2 p.m. to pick her up from work. He told her he was going to clean his car. When 2 p.m. rolled around, Nathaniel wasn't there, and so a coworker brought her home. When she got home, she saw Nathaniel's car parked outside. She was mad that he hadn't come to pick her up, and so she pounded on the door. He still had her house keys. When Nathaniel opened the door, she said he looked shook.
And what do you mean by look shook?
Like he seen a ghost.
And how did you bang on that door?
Hard, like the police.
Banged on it like the police.
Mm-hmm.
And when he looked shook?
Mm-hmm.
He showed up?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. What did he have on when he came to the door looking shook?
The same clothes.
Maria went into the house to shower. She told Nathaniel he should do the same because he was still in the same clothes as the night before. When she got out of the shower, Nathaniel was cleaning his car in the yard. She noted the smell of chlorine. Maria needed to go by the ATM and to her mom's house for rent money. Nathaniel let her drive the car and he sat in the passenger seat. On the drive, Nathaniel used wipes to continue to clean the car. According to Maria, he had put on blue surgical gloves and pulled out a hunting knife to clean as well. She asked him what he was doing, and he again told her to mind her business. Later that evening, Maria would need to drive Nathaniel's car one more time. She had to pick up her daughter from daycare. Nathaniel said he didn't want her daughter in the car because of the blood. Maria said she didn't either, but she had to pick up her child. During this drive, Maria noticed a new cell phone in the car, what she said looked like a female phone. When she asked Nathaniel about it, he said he found it. He said he was going to get it wiped and then give it to her. Later that night, some of Nathaniel's friends came over to the house. They wanted to go to 5 Points. Nathaniel was going to drive. Maria said she was dumbfounded that he would want to take the bloody car out. After Nathaniel and his friends left, Maria saw something on the news that made everything that had just happened make sense.
When it was on the news, I seen that she was missing, and then they showed the clip of his car.
And what did you think when you saw the car?
It all makes sense to me now.
What do you mean by that?
The blood, she's missing, that's his car.
How'd you know it was his car?
Because it had mud on the back by the fender.
And why didn't you call the police at that moment?
I was scared.
So what did you do? Did you go to work?
No.
Why not?
Because I had to get myself together, so I faked my baby being sick to take her to doctor's care so I could get myself together.
Who took you?
His brother.
She was asked why she didn't call the police at any point after seeing the bloody car. She said she feared for her life.
You stated that the first time you saw blood was on the way to work when you stopped at the gas station.
Right.
Why didn't you get out of the car then?
I was worried about getting to work.
Who, if anyone else, pays the bills in your house?
I pay the bills.
So how would you pay the bills if you didn't go to work?
Exactly.
Nathaniel Rowland, while seated at the defense table, took copious notes during Maria's direct examination. His attorney then used those notes.
You had no choice but to get in that car.
Right.
You had no choice but to get in that car and go get your rent money.
Right.
You had no choice but to get in that car to go pick up your daughter.
Child.
You had a choice, though, when you got in that car and went to pick up cigarettes later on.
No.
Yes, Your Honor. Goes beyond the scope of redirect.
At another point, the defense seemed to insinuate that Maria may have been jealous that Nathaniel had other girlfriends.
So you believe that you were the only female. And you eventually find out that he had been talking to other females.
No.
You didn't figure that out.
No.
You didn't find that out.
Nathaniel's attorney asked Maria about any help she may have offered Nathaniel, specifically helping to clean the car.
I do want to ask you this. So you told the jury, telling us that you did not help do any sort of cleanup of that car.
No.
So it would surprise you if your DNA is found anywhere on any of the items used to clean up.
He got them out of my house. So, of course, my DNA going to be on it. That's my cleaning stuff. It was in my house.
She said she met with detectives and they asked her questions about how she had her daughter in the car.
Your daughter sitting in the car seat, in her booster seat, in the back seat that has the blood in it, right?
Right. Where else was she going to sit? She can't sit in the front seat.
Right. And you told the investigator at that point that you didn't know that there was blood in the back seat.
And that probably was the day that I was tired and wore out. Mm-hmm. But when I talked to them again, I cleared it up.
Okay. And you told him if you had known there was blood in the car, you never would have put her in there. Is that right?
Right.
And you told him that on April 3rd. Is that right?
I don't recall the exact date.
But the first time you met with him?
Yeah.
When investigators searched Maria's home, they also searched her trash. Inside, they found bloody gloves, a knife, and other items, most of which were in a Family Dollar grocery bag. After Maria's testimony about the car and the searches of her home, the trial then focused on what both sides thought was the smoking gun, the DNA. SLED DNA analyst Ryan Duane took the stand to tell the jury about her findings in the case. The prosecution focused on what DNA was found, beginning with the flip-flops Nathaniel was wearing the night of Samantha's murder.
Do you have any results for that item as it relates to Samantha Josephson?
I do.
What is your result?
A DNA profile suitable for comparison was developed. The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture originating from two individuals. The first scenario is Samantha Josephson and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture, versus scenario 2, where it's two unidentified, unrelated individuals that contributed to the mixture, meaning she's not a contributor. The result of that comparison is the DNA profile is approximately 3.8 septillion times more likely if Samantha Josephson and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture than if two unidentified, unrelated individuals contributed to the mixture.
Tying back in our verbal scale, what level of support is that for Samantha Josephson's inclusion in the profile on Mr. Rowland's shoe?
This would fall into our very strong support range.
They then asked about any DNA found under Nathaniel's fingernails.
The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture originating from three individuals. Because these are Nathaniel Rowland's fingernails, we can expect his DNA to reasonably be there. So his DNA profile is considered in both scenarios. So scenario 1 is Nathaniel Rowland, Samantha Josephson, and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture, versus the scenario where Nathaniel Rowland and two unidentified, unrelated individuals contributed to the mixture. The result of that comparison is the DNA profile is approximately 94 million times more likely if Nathaniel Rowland, Samantha Josephson, and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture than if Nathaniel Rowland and two unidentified, unrelated individuals contributed to the mixture.
The prosecution also inquired about other clothing items belonging to Nathaniel, including a sock and a bandana.
The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture originating from two individuals. The first scenario is Samantha Josephson and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture, versus a scenario where it's two unidentified, unrelated individuals that contributed to the mixture. The result of that comparison is the DNA profile is approximately 4 septillion times more likely if Samantha Josephson and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture than if two unidentified, unrelated individuals contributed to the mixture.
To recap that, Samantha's DNA was found on Nathaniel's flip-flops, underneath his fingernails, and on his sock and bandana. Then the testimony turned to the blood in the car. The specific parts tested were the rear of the console, the passenger's headrest, the driver's headrest, the rear passenger seat, and the seat belts. Agent Duane said there's very strong support that the blood found on all of those locations included blood from Samantha. Agent Duane then told the jury about blood found in that Family Dollar grocery bag, located in the dumpster at Maria's apartment. Again, the blood came back as very strong support that it was from Samantha. But on several occasions during the direct examination, Agent Duane mentioned an unknown profile. And when prosecutors asked about the DNA found under Samantha's fingernails, not only was there an unknown profile there too, but Nathaniel Rowland's profile was excluded.
What are your results as it pertains to Mr. Rowland on that item?
Nathaniel Rowland is excluded as a possible contributor.
For the right-hand fingernail scrapings of Ms. Josephson, correct?
That is correct.
And that was done by the star mix analysis that you talked about earlier, that process?
That is correct.
Is there a second type of process or analysis that you can do in regards to DNA profiles as well that's separate from the star mix?
Yes.
What is that?
We also perform what is called YSTR testing.
What is YSTR testing?
YSTR testing is a type of technology that allows us to just isolate male DNA.
Just for male DNA?
That is correct.
Okay. So did you perform YSTR testing on this item, 16.1?
I did.
And the process for conducting those tests is completely different from the STAR mix that you described earlier?
The statistic is different.
The statistic is different. Thank you. So the likelihood ratios, the numbers you've been reciting, do you do that same thing for the YSTR analysis?
No, it is a different type of statistic.
Okay. Did you conduct that analysis on this item?
I did.
And what was the result?
The partial YSTR profile developed is insufficient for interpretation.
What does that mean?
That means that there was not enough DNA developed to interpret.
Now let's talk about 16.2, which is her left hand fingernail scrapings. Again, in that situation, under the STAR mix, what was your finding?
The DNA profile developed is attributable to Samantha Josephson.
And, I'm sorry, was Mr. Rowland included or excluded as part of that?
Nathaniel Rowland is excluded as a possible contributor.
Did you attempt to do any YSTR analysis on that item?
I did.
And what was the result?
No YSTR profile was developed.
When it was time for cross-examination, the defense wanted to focus on that unknown profile. Part of the unknown profile was found within the same batches as Samantha's blood.
And you've excluded everybody else that you had no profiles for?
Yes, that is correct.
So it's Samantha Josephson mixed with an unidentified person?
Yes.
The defense also asked about a few other locations from the car where an unknown profile was found. They argued that each location, which included the gear shift and steering wheel, could imply that someone unknown drove the black Chevy Impala.
So there's still one profile that's on the gear shift of this car that we don't know who it belongs to, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The defense asked Agent Duane about the clothes Nathaniel had allegedly been wearing the night of Samantha's murder, the clothes found in Maria's trash. There was evidence of Samantha on the clothes, along with, again, an unknown profile.
And the profile is a mixture of two individuals?
Yes, that is correct.
And Samantha Josephson's likelihood of being a contributor to this mixture is pretty strong, right?
Yes, the DNA profile is 3.7 septillion times more likely.
That it's her and one individual, another person contributing to the mixture.
That is correct.
And Nathaniel Rowland is excluded from being that second person, correct?
That is correct.
And you excluded everybody else that you had known samples for with this particular item?
Yes, that is correct.
So it's Samantha Josephson and an unidentified person that we don't know?
That is correct.
Then there was another piece of evidence the defense wanted to ask Agent Duane about, the hunting knife that was found in Maria's trash.
So you did you received a swab from the serrated blade, correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Rowland's profile is not on that blade, correct?
That is correct.
And there's a second swab that was turned into you, swabs from the inner edges of handles of camo-colored multi-tool, from the white plastic Family Dollar bag number 2.
Yes, that is correct.
That is a mixture of 3 individuals.
Yes.
Samantha Josephson has a strong support probability of being included.
The statistic associated with Samantha Josephson falls in our very strong support range.
Yes, ma'am. And that number that was assigned to that is 2.6 septillion.
That is correct.
And then you did the same setup for Mr. Rowland and 2 unidentified unrelated individuals versus it being 3 unidentified unrelated individuals, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And your result for that one was the DNA profile is approximately 49 times more likely if Nathaniel Rowland and 2 unidentified unrelated individuals contributed to the mixture.
Yes, than if 3 unidentified unrelated individuals contributed to the mixture.
So there's a significant difference, wouldn't you agree, between 2.6 septillion and 49?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And 49 is, on your verbal scale, you said considered weak.
Yes, that falls in our weak support range.
Dr. Thomas Beaver, a forensic pathologist employed at the Medical University of South Carolina, testified about the amount of blood found. He was asked to explain the process for his autopsies. In Samantha's case, he took 170 photos due to the extreme amount of injuries. He was asked about his first observations of her body.
What was it that you saw that grasped your immediate attention?
There were two things first. The first thing was that she had an extensive amount of insect activity on the surface of the body. And the second thing, pretty much at the same time, was that she had many stab wounds over the surfaces of the body.
He said Samantha had been stabbed more than 100 times.
And you mentioned the number 100. Were you able to count the number of stab wounds as you observed Ms. Josephson's body?
Yes, it's over 100. I think somewhere around 120. But it gets to a point where it doesn't really add much to the report.
The state rested and the defense called no witnesses. Nathaniel Rowland chose not to testify. In the prosecution's closing arguments, Daniel Goldberg argued the murder of Samantha Josephson was cold, malicious, and intentional. He honed in on the brutality of the attack.
Over 100 stab wounds. Virtually every drop of blood spilled from her body. Left in the woods to rot. It doesn't get more malicious than that.
He told the jury that there were no other viable suspects in Samantha's murder. The defense, however, disagreed. Defense attorney Tracy Pinnock gave their closing arguments.
Nathaniel Rowland did not have a mark on him. Not a cut, not a bruise. They checked him, and nothing. The unidentified people that the state wants to just brush off like they're no big deal, they do matter. DNA evidence does matter. If it didn't, we wouldn't spend an entire afternoon of this trial talking about it. And we can't forget that in a lot of those mixtures, Nathaniel Rowland is excluded. He's not there. So it's somebody else.
She said Nathaniel merely fit the prosecution's narrative. He was just the easiest answer, but not the right one.
Now, the problems with this case, the way I see it, is that back in March of 2019, everybody started jumping to conclusions and just making up their minds on something. When we know on March 30th of 2019, law enforcement literally knew nothing. What they knew was that Samantha Josephson had gone missing. What they knew was that her body had been located in Clarendon County. And what they knew at that point is that Nathaniel Rowland had been pulled over by Officer Kraft, and there was liquid in the car that they at that point suspected was blood. The initial report came back from the lab confirming that it was in fact blood. Nobody has stood up here and said that Samantha Josephson's blood was not in that car. Nobody has stood up here and said that Nathaniel Rowland was not the one driving the car. But her blood being in the car and Nathaniel Rowland driving the car does not mean that he is the one that killed her. And that is what this trial is about. He's not charged with driving a car. He's not charged with trying to sell a cell phone. He's not charged with not calling the police when he should have. He's charged with murder. He is charged with kidnapping. And he is charged with possessing the weapon during those two crimes. That's why we're here.
The case was then left for the jury. On July 27, 2021, after just over an hour, they returned with their verdict. They found Nathaniel Rowland guilty of possession of a deadly weapon during the commission of a crime, guilty of kidnapping, and guilty of murder. Before he was sentenced, Samantha's family gave impact statements. Her mother, Marcy, told the court that Samantha's death was her death. She asked the court to sentence Nathaniel to life so that he could never hurt anyone again. And that's just what Judge Clifton Newman did. He sentenced Nathaniel Rowland to life in prison. And that's all for this episode. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this case. Do you agree with the verdict? Or do you think the unknown DNA profile was an important missing piece? Let me know by joining the conversation on Instagram at CourtJunkie, by tweeting me at CourtJunkiePod, or by emailing me at podcast@CourtJunkie.com. This episode was researched and written by Polly Katowski with Law and Crime. You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Polly Katowski. If you'd like to hear these episodes without the ads and hear additional Court Junkie bonus episodes, check out my Patreon options at CourtJunkie.com/support. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/CourtJunkie. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.